I only do straight ahead. For water, for especially, like if you want to take this and translate it into a cycle, there's absolutely no way you could do that.
Right.
Like frame by frame and then loop it up somehow. Cycles and Toon Boom are like the best thing. Toon Boom is so set up for animation cycles because you can just say, okay, how long do I want my cycle to be? I'll be conservative and I'll do 10 frames and I'll just fill the selection. There's an easy way to set it up because usually I'll do like 135 drawings. So I won't want to actually just draw 10 little dots. And then you copy and paste them as many times you want across your screen. And then you just start doing dribs like this.
You gotta mark the first drawing though, so you can see where the loop takes place.
Nope.
What do you mean no?
Nope. Why would I do that? I'm too busy. I have other things to do.
Oh, that's only because you haven't got the toolbar open.
What do I need toolbar for?
It's like the best trick ever.
For what? Look at me drawing splashes. Whee!
Because try it. Open up the marquees thing.
But see, as simple as that, I've got a little sprinkler going.
Oh, okay. So not knowing
it doesn't matter where the loop starts. It's all straight ahead forever.
Oh, I see. So if you could see the beginning of the loop again, you would probably feel a bit railroaded to try and complete that movement before it starts over.
Yeah,
But by doing it this way, like each strip can go for as long as it needs to, and it doesn't matter that another one has started or not.
Yep. And you all just straight ahead everything. And obviously, if you're doing this for something real, you'd want to pay a little more attention to...
Oh my goodness. This is why have I never thought of this?
I'm just so lazy, so I do it the laziest way.
But it's not lazy, it's clever.
That's exactly how I did that other...
There is an important line between laziness and efficiency. Like, if you don't do it this way, you're being lazy by not working smart, you know? Like...
Yeah, smart is definitely, like, the goal. But, I mean, I do every cycle like this. If I have to do a bubble cycle...
Uh-huh. Yeah, so, like, the next one's already begun now. And, I animate loops like this all the time, and I try and think, like, how do I do the pace cycle after I've drawn it? Rather than setting it up blank and then just start drawing. This is really similar to drawing tiles. Like, if you set up a grid of 9 that are already, like, the same image, like peg transformation, apply peg transformation, like then...
Oh, yeah, I saw you were, like, 752.
Yeah.
Peg transformation tile system. I saw that.
So, like, that's sort of the same idea because, like, you don't really need to think about where one image ends and the next one begins because it'll all just sort of connects together. Like, that's that concept in space and this is that concept in time. And, like, that took you, like, 2 seconds. That's so freaking cool. Let me try it.
Yeah, do a cycle.
Okay, I'm going to do a cycle.
I love cycles so much. I love doing long cycles, too, because it's so zen. You put on an audiobook or a podcast, and you just draw straight ahead, piece by piece.
This is such an exciting
until you build
method.
up whatever you're doing.
All right.
My smoke, I did one on smoke. That is one of my like all-time best videos because I just like, this is how you do smoke cycle. And I did it like this, where I just set it up piece by piece by piece and then you just draw forever and it's endless cycle. And it's so zen. I don't know how everybody isn't like trying to do effects. It's the funnest.
Hang on. I think is this, there we go. Yeah, I agree. I really like it.
Let's do some effects and let's do the hardest thing, which is a splash. I definitely think that water is the hardest thing to master because it has all these different physics properties that you have to pay attention to, and then different liquids act differently. So the like stickiness of a liquid and the like how the molecules actually stick together will affect how you do the splash. Like something that's really thick, like honey, is going to pull a lot longer, like if you're scooping out honey than if you're pulling out water. And then like alcohol is even thinner than water. So it has the opposite property where it breaks up very fast and it thins out much more. Like water's the hardest. Liquids are pain.
Oh, whoops. See, like I finished that drop and then I instinctively went back to frame 1 to start the next one. Yeah. But you're like, no, Don't do that.
Wait, what? You can give yourself a guide so you know where your bubbles are coming from, like a pipe or whatever they're coming out of. Just like give yourself an exit area.
Yeah.
And that'll help you from going back to frame 1.
So like put this.
Just draw like an X or
just like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where they're coming from.
Okay, and then that is set to like. I think I probably made my loop a bit too long because like it's 15 frames at the moment.
No, we were trying to do a pilot not long ago, and I did a 198 frame smoke cycle that came from the center of the screen and went out in like this rolling cloud, and I did it like 5 different ways, and then they just cut it. They were like, "Nah, we're just gonna use After Effects." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh no, because I think I'm feeling a bit too inclined to like wait until I get to the end of the loop before starting my next one. Like it's really tempting to be like, "Oh, okay, now
hide your timeline. Just don't even look at the timeline."
All right, timeline's gone. Get out of here.
Yeah, you don't need that
so that
anymore.
means some of the bubbles can be, I guess, longer or shorter than others, huh? Like this one might only rise for that many frames and then it's gone. And then, oh, whoops. That one is sort of trailing behind there.
Yeah, and when I'm doing bubbles like this, if I want to do something very specific, I'll set up like speed zones. So I'll have like I want it to start out fast and go slow. So I'll just put a gradient there that goes from dark to light. And so as it gets closer to the light, I have it go faster or slower, whichever one I need.
That's really clever.
And it helps you. I love using guides because then your brain doesn't need to work. You're like, oh, it's getting lighter, it has to go faster.
Yeah. A part of me is still...
But you don't actually have to pay attention to where things are or what frame you're on. We don't need frames here. This is effects.
A part of me here is still thinking like, oh, that's moving quicker than I want it to. Like, I know it's just because I'm inexperienced and haven't really got a feel for it yet. But now I want to go through an in-between every one of these bubbles.
No, I would just start again.
Really?
Yeah, it's way faster.
Yeah.
Delete that one and do another one.
Yeah. That only took like a minute, and it would take 3 minutes to in-between it.
It would take so long. Don't even bother.
Yeah, okay. So this time, if I was to go back to my guide layer here and get a gradient like this.
Go fast to slow.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing bubbles in particular, you can use bubble thickness, like bubble width, as your spacing.
Okay.
So when you're going slow, you say, my bubble moves half of itself. So your next bubble goes half. You can just draw your next bubble halfway up the bubble.
Uh-huh.
And then it goes up to like a quarter of the bubble, and then it's 1 bubble pace, and then a bubble and a half pace, 2 bubble pace. So you use the bubble that you're using as the guide for itself.
The bubble. Can you say that again? I'm not quite following that.
Okay, so draw your first bubble.
Okay, and this bubble you recommend will get a bit slower as it goes into the green area or something like that.
Yeah, so have it go, the next bubble, have it start like a bubble and a half up.
So would it even be like a bit stretched at the beginning? Like
it can be, but your first bubble, just go back to your first bubble.
But I'm not allowed to go backwards, you told me.
Oh, you absolutely can. There's no directions in effects. You can go backwards. You could start at the top and go down.
But now that it's leaving the green...
I'm talking... But take your time and look at how close your bubbles are touching.
They're very close.
This is what I'm describing. Yes.
But they're still touching every time, but they physically change shape. So they are technically getting spaced further apart.
But that's not what you're seeing.
I forgot to pace cycle. My bad.
Yeah, pace forever.
Bang.
But this is what I'm saying. If you use the bubble itself, you can help determine how fast it's going. So you draw 1 circle, and then the next one is half a circle. Like, so it's cutting the first circle in half. I do have my onion skin on when I'm doing these things.
I don't get it. So the first circle, and then the next one is what?
To draw it so that it's cutting the circle in half.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the next one's cutting off a quarter of the circle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So just speeding it up is all you're saying.
Yeah. But that's how I pace it. So I say in the blue zone, it's a half a circle. So it's always cutting half, half, half until it hits the green zone. and then it's doing a quarter. And then once it hits the yellow zone, then it's a full circle. So that's how I pace it in my head.
Got it. So I'll keep doing this. Now we're starting to enter the greens, so I'll... Oh no, they're clashing.
That's okay. Bubbles can cross behind one another.
Okay, so now it's speeding up. It will be a full
circle. So if I'm doing an underwater episode, I'll do... on each drawing, I'll have either 1, 2, or 3 bubbles cycled on each drawing. And then I'll have 3 to 5 different drawings. So every scene, I can recombine those different bubble cycles in the different scenes. And because they're different lengths, because one's 15 long, one's 25 long, the cycle never seems to repeat because there's bubbles going at different paces.
Wait, are you saying that each one will be on a different layer at that point?
I'll do one layer, like I'll do a bunch of different ones. So say I'll do 5 different drawing layers. On one, I'll have 1 bubble, and then 2 of them will have 2 bubbles, and then 2 of them will have 3 bubbles.
Yeah.
So that way I can use different combinations of amounts, and I can use different timing because some of them are faster than others. Some of them are 15 frames long, some of them are 25 frames long. And then no scene looks the same, even though I'm dumping all these different cycles in there. So even though there's only 5, it looks like 50.
Could you even hypothetically, I'm getting a bit over the top here, but inject those into a particle generator so that the different layers would trigger on and off at random intervals?
Yep, you can do that.
But yeah, I guess that's overkill.
Since they've introduced particles and deformers, life has changed. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, we didn't have these things.
All right, so I've gotten excited about the bubbles. You showed a couple of other examples of using this
this
for
is your very
Revolution.
first day on effects. Like, bubbles is a wonderful thing to do.
But I feel like you showed another example of the infinite loop. What was the other one?
Just like a sprinkler.
Oh yeah, you did a sprinkler. That was cool. I want to do a sprinkler.
Smoke is another one because you just build billows on top of billows, right? You treat each billow of smoke like one unit, and you just keep adding and adding and adding to it until you have a whole smokestack.
Ooh, okay. Wow, yeah, smokestack. Cool. All right, hang on. I'm gonna quickly do the sprinkler. Am I allowed to have an onion skin on for this, or is?
Yeah, I always have it on because I like to see how fast things are going.
Yeah.
Because there's a fine line between chaos and like having something that's intentionally done. Like slapping these out in 3 minutes, you're not going to get a lot of like arcs and timing in there. Like you could probably get an arc because you've been doing this for a while, but your time is going to be jacked up. But if I was doing this for an actual production, I would take my time and make sure each of the sprinkler drops had the proper hang time and had a nice arc and had, like, if it was a show that was super detailed, it'd even have an impact when it hit the ground where it splatted into little pieces.
Like this?
Yeah. But it depends on what you're working on. Because some shows look awful if you put too much detail into the effects. It doesn't make any sense.
This is so fun.
Yeah, effects is the best thing.
I love that I just don't have to worry about where it will end. Like, one of the things that's always held me back from doing effects like this is, making it loop. But now I can just continue animating straight ahead and just add drops wherever I damn well want. And it will just go for as long as it damn well needs to. And it just doesn't matter.
You don't need that anymore.
It just builds itself. Now there's just this whole animation there. Look at it go.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna retire. You can take over.
I know that's kind of blah, but
hey, it's day one.
Hang on. How does it look in twos? Rubbish.
It almost looks like sparks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This would be a great way to do sparks as well.
You remember Tarboy?
Yeah,
I'm sweet sparks and Tarboy.
Yeah, it's a really close friend of mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we hang out every week.
I love that. I used to watch that over and over and over again back in the old days.
Yeah, that was also big inspiration for me because he released like working files of the how the sparks worked, and I spent ages just like drilling into the symbols to figure out how they were all assembled together.
I think that came out right about when I was baby effects animator.
Yeah, to
Like
this
when I was
day,
just getting into it.
To this day, we continue to argue about Flash and Harmony. Overexcited?
No, I was excited about your excitement. What else do you want to see?
I don't know. That auto looping is just so freaking cool. Like, I want to try it with fire and
absolutely. I don't know how you could do fire without it.
Yeah.
Bring it back. I'll do some fire stuff.
That's the thing. Like, I've never. This is such an easier way to loop crap. Like, because one of those arguments between Flash and Harmony is that, and like I agreed with this, is that Flash is easier to loop things because of the symbol system. You know, like when you compress everything into a symbol and then drag it out and combine a few different symbols together, it will never truly loop because it, you know, like it reaches the end of its own personal timeline and then goes back to the start. And that's a feature I miss sometimes. But by doing this, by just setting up your frames and looping them before you start drawing, sort of negates that, I think. And you get a very, probably an even superior effect. And this is such a simple trick of just setting up the frames first before drawing them. It's just habit for everyone, I think, to not do the whole create empty drawing thing. Like, you know, they've got the blank frames like this and just sort of start drawing on the first frame and then go next frame and then draw that. And it's like, oh, okay, I want it in between, so I'll space that out and then delete it or whatever. And it's even something I only started doing within the last couple of years of, like when it comes to cleanup, to do a duplicate of the same, to add a synced drawing layer where it's blank, but it's got all the same timing and their names the same, the keys and crap. So now you know where to slot everything in and don't have to, blank drawings are the best and they're so neglected.
The best thing about it is you can determine your timing from the start. So if I'm working on a cheap show, I know they have time for 12 frame cycles. If I'm working on a big budget show, I can do a 40 frame cycle. This is just forever. Amazing. Fire is fun because you can do just crazy shapes. And I won't even start with like any plan in mind. I think I did, 10-ish frames. 15, I don't know. I don't even know how many frames this is. I'm just going to do kind of cool pointy shapes and have them start vaguely in a similar area.
I feel like even if you don't want a looping flame, like if you just want like a bit of an explosion-y one, maybe, even with the water splash, could this effect of setting up the loop first and then just trim off the beginning and the end work? No. Probably not.
I just go straight ahead. I wouldn't overthink it.
Okay.
This cycle situation is specifically good because it makes your cycle thoughtless. Like, you just do whatever you want on every frame, and then it's done when you're run out of patience.
Yeah. This is such a load off my shoulders. I need to find a like speaking of James Lee, Tarboy, I've done one video on this channel about fire where I was learning it. And that's because he was sitting behind me at the time. So I was able to get feedback while I was doing it. So that was all about figuring out these shapes and stuff. But of course I felt railroaded by having to figure out how to make it loop in post. You know, like I had my first frame that I needed to somehow get back to. When I realized that I didn't have to do it that way, it changed my life. I mean, you can hear my enthusiasm right now. This is a game changer, and it's been there from the start. This isn't like some new feature. Harmony is built to work this way, and somehow it's just not really talked about. You can do this on paper. There's no reason you couldn't set up 12 pieces of paper. You can do this on paper. Yes, you can. Oh this God. Is the secret of the effects world. You just don't care about the timeline. We're chaos agents. Oh, that looks great.
You just got to fatten up the bottom a little bit, keep adding pieces. See, because a lot of times people start, they're like, okay, here's my fire, then my next frame is here, then my next frame is here, and like hooking it up is just a nightmare.
Yeah,
so I just
that's
do
why
this,
it's been so stressful.
And then you can just build up the bottom with this kind of shape. Just fatten up the bottom a bit. You really should have a point of origin so you don't have to go back and forth so much.
Yeah.
And then let's say you've got that much and you want it to be, then you start, building out your little peaks that come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That go up. But you could also animate holes. People think you can only animate things like add.
Yeah.
You can also erase.
Matt Make Cartoons asks, say the fire is at the end of a torch and someone moves it. How would you tackle that?
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Let's do that. Okay, so I have my fire all done, luckily. And let's say they slap in a torch. Why do you do that? Stay plugged in. Thank you. Moop. So they've got their torch all animated because character animators will do that. And they go like, wee. Moop. So what I do, I come in and I connect my fire to the torch. Is this the fire? What frame? This is attached over here. Okay, so I attach my fire to the torch, and then I add a deformer.
Oh!
We're so lazy. Don't want to do things twice. Do. And then we can just have it do that. Whee! And then, if it's a high class show, because you can tell how much money a show has by how much time they give you to do things.
Uh-huh.
So right now I do 2 episodes a week. I do 1 full episode a week, and then I do a short. So it's like 3 to 5 minutes. So it's really like 1 episode a week. Bigger budget show, I'll do an episode every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that'll determine the quality, not how I feel. So I do this, and then based on how good the show is, I would add things coming off of it like this, where I just go straight ahead and have them come up straight instead of following. And I might even delete the little danglies off the fire because they don't make sense.
Because they are still following that. Yeah.
Exactly. They're following the deformer. So I might delete all the little tiny things, again, based on time. And then, ta-da!
It's a really fascinating technique.